It's always game day in Cleveland, as the big voice says. He's Daryl Ryder. I am Andy Baskin. We are in the aftermath of Pittsburgh, and we are looking forward to Tennessee. It's our next stop here, but so many things to talk about over the last week here that have happened last couple days, Daryl. First, let's start with Nick Chubb and the fact that he is out for the rest of the season. Before I do that, though, Daryl, real quick, public service message. Thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the podcast. Daryl and I are both very appreciative, and we are really excited about all of our new watchers on YouTube. So tell a friend about it on YouTube, too, to make sure they're watching It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. I know Daryl wanted to share that same sentiment. Daryl?
Absolutely. Appreciate you subscribing and watching or listening wherever you get your podcasts, hopefully through the Odyssey app, but whether it's iTunes or Spotify or whatever, we just appreciate you being on board. Leave us a comment, leave us a review, preferably 5 stars, but if you got to give us one, we'll take that too.
I'm very excited about all the YouTubers too. That's been kind of fun, and it's been a new twist to the podcast too, because we've been around for more than a year, and now finally, I think some people are finding us out there. So again, this is Daryl and I really unplugged compared to what we do on the air, right, Daryl? I mean, I think that's fair to say, and
yeah,
like I'm not sitting here. I mean, there's a million podcasts out there for the Browns, but Daryl and I talk about this every day for a living. We're just not a bunch of guys sitting around kind of just going at it. You're getting some meat and potatoes here, so at least that's what we're hoping to provide. Now we will joke around and sit around on the couch a little bit too, but for the majority of the stuff, it's all meat and potatoes. And I hope at the end of the day, you're smarter about the Browns by listening to this podcast, right, Daryl?
Absolutely. And if you watched on YouTube after the Pittsburgh game, you got to see me survive a hiccup attack.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
I have no idea how I survived that podcast, but boy, woo! As they say, I battled.
You did. And you've lived through all of my haircuts. Now I have this Johnny Bravo thing going on. I don't know what's.
Yeah, I just keep mine simple. I keep the lettuce nice and tight because I'm all about low maintenance. Just roll out of the rack. There it is. You got to be able
to put your lid on, man. That's the whole thing.
No, once I have to start combing the thing and putting hair gel in it, that's when I got to go see the barber again. Get them clippers out, take it off.
Boom.
I'm the one person who would not complain if I went bald. I mean, other people would complain, because I probably wouldn't look as good, but I would not complain if I lose my hair. I have asked my barber if I lose half my hair, if I get 50% off my haircut. He told me he'd charge me double. So
you've got the Phelps deal on that thing too. So
I don't know what that's about. Going to charge me double for cutting half the hair? What's up with that?
Probably.
But I'm not losing anytime soon. I mean, I have every strand of hair is still there.
And your color.
I got going for me, Andy. I have great hair.
Keep telling yourself that, big boy. Keep telling yourself that. All right, let's get into Nick Chubb. Just a devastating blow. I think there are a lot of things to go at this. First of all, we talked about it initially after the game. We wonder if he's ever going to be able to play again. I mean, I hate to say that, and I'm not trying to sound gloom and doom. And I think that if intestinal fortitude could get a guy back out on the field, he has every ounce of it. But the reality of it is I see all these older football players that were my heroes as kids, and they are really struggling to walk, and they're struggling to do a lot of things. So one surgery, did he have one surgery already or I can't remember.
I don't know if he's had surgery yet, but
no, or very close to having the first surgery. There's been talk that he might need multiple surgeries. So just so, we're on the record, and as I said, I think in the podcast before, I'm extremely bummed. Nick is my favorite player on the team. He's the jersey that my kids have that I've paid for. And so he's the kind of player you want your kid to be: respectful, hardworking, willing to put a team on his back, never complains, and just does all the dirty work and never once says boo about it. So I'm really bummed about his injury, and I do wish him Godspeed and feeling better and being able to recover in any which way or shape or form. And if it was the last time we saw him play as a member of the Cleveland Browns or in the National Football League, I thank him for all the great memories that he has given me as a football fan. So I hope he comes back, and I hope I'm not, saying the swan song right now, but I do personally thank him for being able to watch him, because a lot of times when you're coaching, especially young kids, the best thing you could ever say is, I love to watch you play. I love to watch Nick Chubb play.
Yeah, I mean, he is the greatest running back I've ever seen for the Browns. in my lifetime. I have said it in the past. I stand by it. He's the Jim Brown of our era. When you talk about the way he ran, I mean, if you put the film of those two guys side by side, the resemblances are shocking. I mean, they're almost mirror images of each other. The way, both would take on defenders, both would run over defenders, bounce off defenders, the stiff arms, the changing direction. But you're right. When you talk about the quintessential teammate, I mean, that's Nick Chubb. Doesn't run his mouth, doesn't celebrate, doesn't pout, doesn't complain. He just went to work each and every day. So devastating injury for him, devastating injury for the Cleveland Browns, losing him. I think it's going to take some time for the team to get over it, if that makes sense.
No, totally. It was apparent in the game. It was very apparent in the game, especially right after it happened.
But unfortunately, as we're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon, the business of football goes on, right? There is not time for the Cleveland Browns to mourn the loss of losing him for the season. They have to get ready for the Tennessee Titans this weekend. And as part of that, they brought back a familiar face on Wednesday. I'm a little surprised by it. Andy, I think you might be a little surprised too, but
I was too. I didn't think there was any way he was coming back. And the only reason I say it is, and Nick Chubb is obviously we're talking about it because you're a Browns fan. You already knew that. But I just thought that they had passed him over last year, that he was kind of in the doghouse when the season started last year because he had talked about his contract and he had to sit in, and you kind of wondered what was going on there. And I always thought it was a great luxury that we had Chubb and we had Kareem Hunt at the same time. Then you started hearing words, well, maybe he's lost a little bit. Maybe he's lost his edge. But today, as he re-signs, it sounds like, and I haven't seen him physically, that he has lost a little bit of weight. He is ready to play. And they put a contract out there that is worthy of reaching goals for him. Right, Daryl? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, so we just got done talking as we're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon. We had just got done talking to Kareem Hunt.
I haven't heard any of this, so tell me what he said.
I mean, it sounds like, all is forgiven, whatever happened between the two sides. Because remember, last year, he wanted the new contract, didn't get it. He asked for a trade. They wouldn't trade him. They chose not to re-sign him this offseason. Here we are in September, going into week 3. He was still a free agent at that point. But he did talk about Nick Chubb and, how hurt he was to see that injury happen on TV live like that. Obviously pulling for, Chubb to come back and recover, come back and all that kind of thing. But as far as, as far as his situation, he kind of talked about still wanting to win a championship with the Browns. Whatever he can do to help the hometown team. Of course, he grew up here in Northeast Ohio, Willoughby South High School. He did lose a little weight during his time off. And he did say too, to what we were talking about, I think I mentioned this with you and Jeff Wednesday afternoon, Andy. This is a case study. Sports can be it can be full of life lessons for people. And I think this is an important life lesson that can be taken away from the Kareem Hunt situation. Never burn bridges. You never know what circumstances are going to pop up, what relationships you're going to need in the future, and things like that. And he said when we spoke to him that he never really closed the door on coming back to Cleveland. But, let's be honest about it. Free agency didn't go all that well for him, right? For whatever reason. And to be fair to Kareem, free agency didn't go good for any running back. It was a horrible offseason to be a running back, whether you were franchise tagged or you were a free agent. It was just brutal. And I think Nick Chubb's injury to me just amplifies get your money when you can get your money. Use your leverage to get your money when you have that leverage to use. I am always pro player when it comes to them getting paid in the National Football League, because they're the ones putting their bodies on the line week in and week out. And to your point earlier, Andy, I'm around former Browns. These are guys that I grew up watching on television, and I see the condition that they are currently in physically, right?
Correct.
And so you will never, ever hear me begrudge players getting paid in the National Football League, considering the revenues that are out there and available, right? And I really think that the league screws over the running backs. And they do
Hold
it.
that thought. Yeah, I agree with you. And I have more to say about that too. And I want to talk more about what Kareem Hunt had to say today too. So we're going to dive into that. We'll tell you what Kevin Stefanski said too, because I don't necessarily know what was true 24 hours ago is true right now. It's always game day in Cleveland.